Let me just kind of tone down my energy right now. I don't know why I'm actually so excited. Alright, cool. Welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome.
Our bodies collide. Baby, you're everything I want. Let's give it some time, yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome, and if you're not, then thank you for coming back. Okay, so obviously, as you guys know, this, if you do know, this is a new channel about my social work journey, about my experiences in care and all of this type of stuff. So I just thought I would update you on what's going on in my social working life at the moment, right? Okay, cool. So we are now in October, and I graduated in July. But I didn't get my social working license until September last month. Technically, I didn't fully pass until August. So when I graduated in July, I was still on work placement. I had like 2 weeks left of work placement. And then one small little presentation to do, which I couldn't do until I finished the work placement. So technically, all in all, I completed and officially received my pass mark in August, right? I think it was a bit of a hoo-ha because then some of my teachers went on annual leave. And for those of you who do social work, you know that your educational institution or whatnot, they have to send your name to Social Work England. Otherwise, you can't register. And I was trying to wait to confirm that they'd done that before I register with them. And a lot of teachers were on annual leave. It was like the end of, August and stuff like that. So a lot of them were on holiday. So that took time. Either way, I didn't want to actually look for work until September, which is when my kids would be at school. But there was still a bit of a gap between when September hit and me still having not been able to get my social work license. I had problems with verifying my ID. That was a whole nother story. Like 3 times. It took 3 times for my ID to be confirmed. And each time, it's like you go to the back of the queue. Which by God's grace, the last time, they responded the same day and approved it. Thank God, yeah? So it took a minute. In the meantime, I've been looking for work, because obviously when you look for work, you're gonna, you have to go through the interview process, you have to wait for them to call you back. So it's not like as soon as you apply, bam, you got the job. So while I'm waiting for my license and ID verification, I was still applying for job roles. Because by the time you have your interview, you do this, you do that, and then you are officially given your start date, in my mind, I would have had my license by then. They would have verified my ID by then, Well, I will just say it's not been easy. It has not been easy. My voice, I always have to excuse my voice every time I come on here, because I just feel like, I don't know, my voice just be, for those of you who have seen my other video, or maybe some of my other videos on my other channel, you know the situation with my voice, yeah? But it just be sounding like this sometimes for no reason. It's been fine all day, but the minute I get on this video, it's like, I don't know why, right? But that's not the case all the time. Anyway, I digress, yeah? When I was at uni, right, they tell you that there's a lack of social workers, we're heavily in need of social workers. So you're thinking, yeah, like I would pretty much have a secure job, because it seems like they're never oversaturated with social workers, right? And yeah, you get your degree, you know, bam, like, thinking people are going to dash jobs at you. It is not the case. It is never the case. I thought that was the case when I did my bachelor's degree in business management. That wasn't the case. And I thought it would have been the case with social work, because they said, our teachers told us that, I guess at least England, London, or wherever, be so desperate for social workers that they end up employing people outside of England who are qualified to bridge the gap. Oh my gosh. To bridge the gap, right, of the much needed social workers. And so if you are now having to outsource outside of your own country because you really don't have enough social workers, surely once I finish, I shouldn't struggle, right? Well, I've been struggling, okay? Like, let me not say that, because many jobs I've applied for, I haven't yet heard back from them. Only one I had an interview for. I'll go into that in a minute. But the rest, the closing of the application date is still open. So, you know, it's still early days, right? But there's not a lot of roles for ASYE that I've seen. Also, from what I know, ASYE job role vacancies come out seasonally. So some release them every May, around April, May. I've messaged some local councils to find out, like, do they have any? When are they going to have any? 2 got back to me and said that they will be releasing some in autumn. I believe we are now in autumn. And they have not released any ASYE. I did follow up with an email just to check they haven't forgotten me. Maybe it's an internal thing, I don't know. And no, still no ASYE. So I'm now having to look for job roles outside of an ASYE role within children's services, right? So like support workers, you know, stuff like that, but children support workers, so I can get that experience of working with children. So when an ASYE role does come, I may be favoured for that role, right? Because I even saw an ASYE role all the way in Hackney, not where I live. But I thought there just wasn't a lot of ASYE roles with children, looked after children, social services. So I was just like, maybe I could make it work. And when I read the description, they said you need to have statutory experience with children. So what's the point of the ASYE then? And this is where I feel like my university messed up. We were meant to be given 2 work placements. One with children, one with adults. And they place you, so they said, within roles depending on what it is that you want to do. So if you want to work with children, they will seek to find you work placement with children. I wanted to work with children. They very well know what I wanted to do. And both my work placements were with adults. So now I'm at a disadvantage. At work, you know when, for my ladies who are watching, you know when you have on either lip gloss or lip balm or something like that, and then you feel like you can feel a build-up. You know what I mean? Like that white line, you can feel a build-up. Yeah. That's what I thought I could feel, but clearly I don't. So anyway, ignore me. What do you call it? And so, where was I? Yeah, so they gave me 2 adults, and one of my roles was a statutory role, I believe, right? I was working as a safe house advocate, and I'm not gonna lie, I love that company. I love the company. I won't maybe say it now, maybe later on, but the charity organization company is a great company. I'm not mentioning it because I'm just still trying to figure out YouTube, like what I can say, what I can't say. Don't come at me, okay? Especially in my early journey as a newly qualified social worker. So, alright, sorry guys, my phone was bugging. Talking about I got not enough memory, so I'm gonna have to make this video ending short, right? I need to get a new phone, honestly. But anyway, so yeah, you know, I don't want to talk too much, but the company was a really good company. Yeah, and so even though I really like my last placement, it put me at a disadvantage because when they're asking to what experience do you have with working with children, had I had that experience, I could have really delved into my work experience, what I learned, and the skills that I can apply to my new job role, you know, which is why I'm kind of keeping an open mind in reference to possibly being a support worker. In the meantime, if I'm not able to obtain the role that I want to obtain, to get that experience, so when I do apply for that role, I can say, look, I was a support worker for children and families, this is what I did, da-da-da-da-da, but it's for me, it hasn't been that easy. I know that maybe some people, they apply. I think one girl in my class at graduation, she said that she got a job role as a social worker, but not at ASYE. But from what I know, ASYE puts you at a big advantage. And if you do not do it now, it will be needed later on, right? And for me as well, I do want to be eased into it, especially working with children, which is the whole reason I wanted to be a social worker. I don't want to, sorry, I had a message. I don't want to just go into it without building a solid foundation, i.e. through ASYE, having a lower caseload, you know, having like my mentor support worker, supervisor, practice educator, you know, so by the time they lift that off and I'm no longer on ASYE, I've got experience and I can just continue where I was already at, but just with higher caseloads, you know. Yeah, and it's just been, I think searching for job roles has not been as easy as I thought, especially with children. Mental health, I feel like, is such an easy field to get into. If you're within social work and you disagree, let me know. But I feel like there's so many jobs available for mental health. But when it comes to children, as a social worker or ASYE, it's very scarce. Like, there's not a lot of option to get into children's social work. And so as to when the ASYEs come out, for those of you who are actually still studying social work right now, you may have to bear in mind that you would have to probably find a job outside of the ASYE or your chosen field, i.e. with children or adults. Find a different job, i.e. support worker or something preferably related to social work in the meantime, so that when the time period comes out where they are releasing ASYEs, you weren't just stagnant, not doing nothing for 6 months, 3 months, you know, that when you do go into the interview, you can actually say, I've been a support worker during this time, I've been a key worker, I've been whatever you've been doing, you know, preferably within the field that you want to get into or working with the service users or clients that you want to get into, i.e. children or those with mental health or whatnot. I'm even now looking into volunteering roles. Like, I'm literally that hungry to want to get into this field. They have volunteering roles where you can be, I think they call it an independent visitor, which I found quite interesting. So they would run one role I applied for where I would take out a looked after child, maybe out to the cinema to eat, like you do an activity with them. So it's only a couple hours a week, not really a lot, you know. And if you're struggling to get paid work, it's some kind of experience with the people that you want to work with in the long run. So even looking into volunteering roles. But again, that's been scarce, because you need it. For me, I need it with young people, and I need it within my area because I have little children. So I can't just travel to Timbuktu to do whatever. Like, I still need it to be within close proximity because their after school club finishes at 5:30. So it's not really a lot of time for me to play with, But yeah, so that is how my social work job search is going so far. I'm positive, don't get me wrong, I'm positive, And so, God willing, the right job, the right company, right opportunity, the right location, everything, right pay, tick, 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 will come my way. And if I don't get the job, then it just wasn't meant for me, Like, I had one job interview with a local council. They were so lovely. For my first ever interview as a social worker, I was nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking because I was just thinking, like, oh my gosh, they're going to be so serious. But they were so friendly. They were so nice. They were so welcoming. Like, they put me at ease. But I never got the job. I was just like, why? And they ended up saying that if I want feedback, I can send an email to such and such an email, which I did. And they basically said that I scored really well in the interview, but there were just other candidates who had statutory experience with young people. And so they feel that I should do my ASYE, and if I do that, that will put me at an advantage in future. So again, ASYE, and I'm just like, oh, fine. Well, at least I scored well. It doesn't mean I did anything wrong, So I have to keep an eye on the time because my phone memory lets me know how long I can talk on this video before it shuts off due to low memory. So with that being said, I'm gonna end it here, and I will continue to update you on my journey. Pray for me, wish me luck, and yeah, I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye.